Okay, quick Turbo Cub update. As you can see, it's sitting in the garage and it has the rear fender and center section sitting in place. I got these bolted together outside, brought it in as one big piece. Much easier than dealing with putting in the bolts up underneath. As for what this machine needs to get finished, obviously everything needs to get bolted down in the back. The seat needs to be put in place. The plastic pieces need to be put on left and right side so you don't scuff the paint up. As for the paint, I painted this in about +4 communist, so it wasn't the greatest conditions to paint in, but it actually turned out pretty good. The underside has a few issues. Top side's not 100% perfect, but it is much better than it was. As for under the hood, all I really have left to do is the air filter. I'm waiting on that. Hopefully I'll have it next week. If not, week after. I need it by April, roughly, give or take, when the auction where this will be going to is. Yeah, March. Yeah, probably around April. March or April, I'll need it by. He still has another month to get it done. No real rush. It's getting done by a student, which I'm happy about that, since it's a kid who is learning how to fabricate is actually getting it done. So I'm happy about that. As for the wiring, everything is done except for the taillights. Those just need to be connected up. Got the 2 grounds done up under the dash. That needed to get done. All they do is operate the little lights on the ends here. So it's not too big of a deal. They're not a high current ground. I had to install a washer on that switch right there for the headlights. It was floating around just a little bit too much in there. He drilled the hole slightly too big, along with the ignition hole, but I was able to get the ignition switch to actually hold in fairly good. As for the ignition, everything comes on and works the way it should, and she cranks. And the hour meter and everything that needs to work is working. Nice thing is, with the rear fender and center section in place, the fuel pump is now protected. Yes, it's going to be a bugger to ever have to replace this fuel pump in the future, but that's not going to be me. So, a bunch of bolts, it comes off, and you can actually replace the fuel pump. But installing the fuel pump in the back definitely protected it better, and it's actually now gravity fed, and it pushes the fuel from the pump up to the injection pump. That's the way you want to run these. You do not want these pumps pulling. You want them to push. So, as for the Johnny bucket, I do want to get it in place, but the weather is a bit frightful outside, so it's not really worthwhile to try and drive this up to the shed and get the Johnny bucket or manhandle Johnny bucket down here and put it in place. So I'm going to wait on that until the weather is just a little bit better, and I'll get that installed. So that's what's holding me up on putting this side panel right here on. I can put the other one on and still get to the turbo to put the filter on. But this one here, it is nicer to have it off to actually get up underneath the dash and switch around wires if I need to. Hopefully I don't, but I might need to. So obviously the brake and go pedal need to be put back on as well. The cup holder and the cover that goes around the mower raise and lower. The mower raise and lower does nothing. It's dead. Everything that went with that has now been removed. It's just a handle that's there. If somebody wanted to put a plow on this in the future, or even a back blade, that could possibly be used in that setup. For me, it's nothing. So basically, this machine's going to go to auction pretty much the way it sits, obviously with the Johnny bucket, and it will be complete. I'm not going to put anything else on this machine. I'm not doing any more work to it other than getting it finished up. So it is pretty much 80-90% there. We're in the home stretch is in sight, and it's definitely looking a lot better than it did. I should actually send a picture of it to the kid I got it from just to show him what it looks like now, since the rear does look a lot better than it did look. The paint was pretty bad on the back, but definitely is nicer than it was. Maybe when it's fully done, I'll send him some pictures and be done with it, sort of thing. But that's pretty much it for the Turbo Cub at the moment. definitely not the hardest job in the world. It was just a lot of cleanup and a lot of little nitpicky things that I wanted to get done that made me feel better, and a few things that he did miss, like the turbo drain did not have a clamp on it. That definitely needed a clamp. So that's stuff that needed to be done that he missed. And there's a few things in here that he could have done a little bit better, but he didn't, like the wiring. So all that has been fixed up as well. I did originally try and hook up the brake safety, but that entire system had been removed, and it would took a bit of fabricating to put it back into place, and it really was not worthwhile. The machine's a hydro. It's not like you're going to start it in gear, so it's not too big of a deal to actually not have a brake safety. The brakes work, the brake lock works. It just doesn't have a brake safety to crank the engine, which again, not a big deal. So I'll talk to you later. Please keep redneck like always, and please subscribe and comment.